Login accepted.
You're so quick with it. Oh, yeah, welcome to today's meeting. So I'm gonna go over all the announcements we have. First, there's a data science and AI club datathon happening on the 7th, which is like this Friday. Maybe you can still sign up. But yeah, if you wanna do data and AI, that's happening. And then there's an AI hackathon. The last day to register is March 14th. And then challenges are going to be released on the 21st, and then they're going to be due on the 23rd. And then all of our finalists will present at the AI fair on April 17th. So yeah, if you want to do that, make sure you register. It's like 60 straight hours for an event, which is kind of long, but it might be fun. And then we have Mrs. ITC. It's happening a little later in the semester on April 26th. ITC is their information technology competition, and you can see there's like a bunch of different categories. IT strategy, security, data analytics, digital forensics, and web apps. I remember I did IT security my freshman year with Vinny. Hi. It was probably like one of the more fun things I did throughout all my 4 years here, 4 years here. And we won first place, which was nice. And I learned a lot. So yeah, if you wanna like, I know this year IT security, it's like a case study, you're given a network to pen test basically, and you have to write a report on all the vulns you found. So yeah, if you wanna do that, it's like kind of CPTC-esque if you're interested. But yeah, you have to sign up with a team of 5. If you don't have a team, then just join Mrs. Discord and like ask, hey, does anyone need team members? Or like, I'm looking for team members, and people will respond to you. Um, okay, then RBB is coming up. Signups close this Saturday, so make sure you sign up sooner than later. It's gonna be on March 22nd at 11 a.m. In like the room above us. Basically, if you did RBB last semester, it's gonna be the same thing. You just act as like the blue team and defend a couple of computers against our active red team. Um, there's gonna be food that's not pizza, so watch out for that. Make sure you sign up, and hopefully we have a lot of friends join us from ISACA. Okay, and then we have Tech Symposium happening on April 12th, which is our annual cybersecurity conference. Make sure you RSVP so we can get like a head count on food and everything. And we're gonna start releasing our speakers soon, maybe sometime this week. We have a lot of cool talks coming, and I think it's like all stuff that's very relatable and you guys will look forward to. Yeah, come out and network with us. Oh, do you need it? I can go back. Okay. Okay. I think this is the last one, but eBoard applications for Swift are also live. They're gonna be open until March 21st, so just apply when you can. Interviews will just be accepted on a rolling basis up until like I think a week after the 21st. So just like sign up so you can schedule an interview time with us. There's a lot of different positions open. So you can go through and read them and see what interests you. And we can talk about it during your interview. But yeah. Okay, to like kind of sum all of that up, you can see we're right here. Like messages hidden in plain sight, our Tuesday meeting, and then I like put all of our other events throughout so you kind of see how that's laid out. Yes. Okay, then we bring Molly.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Molly. I'm a first year swim intern and I'm majoring in computer information systems. And so this is my meeting on cryptography. Table of contents will be going over basic crypto, steganography, and hashing. So first up, basic crypto. So what is encoding? Encoding is converting data into an alternate format. It is not securing data. So encoding is different from encrypting, which people tend to like kind of mistake. And so that means that encoding is going to ensure accurate data translation, and it's easily reversible because it's meant to be reversed for different platforms. So examples are base64, hexadecimal, binary, and ASCII. So an encoding example is a YouTube URL. Do you guys know like what video this is? Perhaps people, okay. Some people might know, those who know. So this YouTube URL is encoded with base64. And so YouTube uses 11 base64 characters, which creates like an insane amount of possibilities so they won't run out of different URL types. And so that means base64 is really, really good for condensing a lot of different information into unique strings. That's a rickroll, by the way. Okay, so what is encryption? Encryption is going to scramble the data so only certain users can decrypt it, and they may need to use a key. So unlike encoding, encryption is meant to actually provide security. And so examples are the Caesar cipher, Vigenère cipher, Playfair cipher, Morse code, and also more advanced like encryption types like AES and RSA. So within ciphers, there's the monoalphabetic ciphers and polyalphabetic ciphers. So a substitution cipher at its most fundamental level is replacing plaintext characters with ciphertext using a set algorithm. And so monoalphabetic means it only maps to one output. So A equals 1 and B cannot equal 1 because it's only one alphabet. And so this can be brute force through letter frequency if you do know like which letters are more frequent within a different string. Like in English, E is the most frequent letter, and near the end is going to be like Z and J. So you can kind of brute force any kind of substitution cipher using just like logic. And so Caesar cipher, I'm sure you guys know what this is already. This is basically where you shift a plaintext letter to a ciphertext using a fixed number of spaces. So in the example, it uses 7 to shift Swift. Next up is the Affine cipher. So this uses a certain formula to encrypt these letters. And so it uses here 5x plus 8 mod 26. Morse code. So each plaintext letter is replaced by a Morse ciphertext. So here you see this table is really cool. I really like Morse code. I memorized it for no reason, but I think it's really cool. And so you'll see that letters are encrypted for efficiency. So since E is the most common letter, it is only a dot, so it's easier to type out when you're like trying to encode something really quickly. This was really helpful during like war times. And so you'll see that letter Z is like super long, it's dash, dash, dot, dot. So that means that you won't really need to use it that often. So that means that they make it a little bit, it's okay for it to be a little harder to type out. Next up is fractionated Morse ciphers. So it's going to be the Morbit and Pollux cipher. And basically these are like the same thing as Morse code, but they take different sections of it and kind of break it apart. So in this example, this orange bit is called a crib because they provided the translation for we are. So in like ciphers in general, a crib is going to be a word that's suspected to be in the plaintext. So beyond like ciphers and within like modern encryption, you can also use cribs to kind of test out what the plaintext might include. So using this decoder, you can see that they do offer the opportunity to use a crib. Next up is polyalphabetic ciphers. So this is basically where one input can map to multiple outputs instead. So that means that A can equal 2, but can also equal 9. So it creates another level of security. Although ciphers in general aren't really used in modern cryptography and encryption, but just in general security, like back in the old days, this was like some real hard stuff. Trust me. And so it uses multiple substitution alphabets. So decrypted plaintext cannot be shared across ciphertext. So if you find out that A equals 2, you can't really use that for like your other plaintext because you're not sure if it's going to be the same across the whole cipher. So for example, Vigenère cipher is the most common polyalphabetic cipher. Each letter is shifted by a key, as you can see from like there. And so basically that means every letter has its own Caesar cipher. It's shifted by its own value. Next up is the Hill cipher. So this uses linear algebra to encrypt the plaintext and the key. So that means that if the plaintext is like change slightly, it's going to affect the values for all 4 of those letters up there. Like these numbers here, like if that was 6 instead, it would affect the value for all of these because they're all dependent on each other using the algorithm. And so this uses mod 26. I mentioned previously the Affine cipher also uses mod 26. That is basically using modulo, which is a pretty common kind of feature within security. So modulo is taking the remainder after dividing 2 values. For example, 30 mod 26 is going to be 4 because 30 divided by 26 is going to be 1 and then the remainder is 4. So this is really used in security because it's hard to reverse engineer the divisor and the dividend from the remainder. So if you're given 4, you can't really work your way back to 30 and 26. Like you could, but it would take like a super long time and you wouldn't know which one is correct. All right. So another polyalphabetic cipher is going to be the Playfair cipher. This is my favorite one, just because I like it. I don't know. So it uses a 5 by 5 grid that is filled with the keywords. So that's only going to include 25 slots for all 26 letters. So that means that I and J are sometimes combined, or J is omitted entirely because it isn't used that often within like frequency. So yeah, you'll see that the first line here is orange, and then it fills the rest alphabetically with the rest of the alphabet. And so the plaintext is shifted to the ciphertext with certain rules. Within you see like if they're in the same column, they'll shift it up, or if they're like in the same like diagonal way, they'll be shifted differently. Yeah, you don't need to really know it. Transposition ciphers. So this rearranges plaintext without changing any of the actual values. It's like a complex anagram, basically. And so an example is the Railfan cipher. This is used within a lot of different like CTFs online, or that NCL uses it. And so this is where the plaintext is sorted into rails and then offsetted. So you'll see that it is sorted out in this way. And then when it's written out in like the rows. So it's kind of hard to go back to the original message. Next up is columnar transposition. This is where the plaintext is written into a table and rearranged. So you can see that this was kind of transposed from rows into columns. And so that makes it a little bit harder to kind of guess what it is. But these types of ciphers are really not used in security. Like this would be kind of silly. All right, so cipher tools. It's really important to use cipher identifiers like Decode and Boxcentric. These are really good for testing out different ciphers, and they might have different results, so make sure to use both of them if you need it, and they'll give you different options of what they think the cipher might be. You can also use CyberChef. This is a program where you can create your own recipe to make and break ciphers. So on this side, you're going to see all these different like methods, and you can input them and make your own kind of algorithm. All right, so cipher challenges. Like I mentioned, NCL, which is the National Cyber League, does contain a cryptography module. It leans more into hashing and common ciphers, like you're going to see here. This is the Railfan cipher. And so you can kind of, using challenges like NCL, you can get better at kind of analyzing what ciphers might look like. So with these like spaces and punctuations, you'll know that this is probably the Railfan cipher. But it does tell you, so they make it pretty easy. Next up is Central Washington University's Cryptos. This is kind of a niche little thing. It's just a thing that I like to do. So basically, they'll provide you different like hints. I guess not hints. They'll provide like different parts of the puzzle. And so here they have a newspaper clipping and they have a letter. They have all these little like codes and stuff. So you like put it all together and you like think really, really hard and you find the answer. And so this usually takes me a really long time, but I think it's really fun. So it leans more into unique ciphers and theory-based logic puzzles. They'll lean into more of the algorithms and the math behind ciphers, but I recommend it if you're interested in ciphers. All right, so steganography. So steganography can hide messages within images, text, and videos, and it can be used to transmit sensitive information through unsuspecting files. So that means that you can hide a message within an image, and even if it's superly like basic encrypted, that means that if no one tries to test that image, they might not ever see that message. And so tools can be like StegHide. This is a tool to hide data within images, videos, and audio, and it conceals information in the least significant bit of data. So that means that basically they'll take a part of the data that doesn't need to stay the same. So in the back, you'll see like these numbers were changed and the image still looks about the same. So using the least significant bit, they can make sure that it isn't perceivable to the human eye that the image was tampered at all. And so you can use it in Tally. You can use this tool. You can, yeah. All right, so obfuscation is obscuring a message. And so steganography is a subtype within obfuscation, and other techniques would be code obfuscation. All right, so another tool is binwalk. This is used to identify files and code embedded inside of firmware images. And this is also how it's used. You'll see all of the metadata stuff. But this is also accessible if you use like an online analyzer for steganography. All right, so going back, code obfuscation is not steganography, but it is basically making applications more difficult to like understand. So if you do get like a large code script, you might not be able to understand what it says, and that's using code obfuscation. They might rename variables, they might use more complex structures, they might make it intentionally very, very complicated to make sure that you can't understand it and like find out malicious malware or something on it. And so this is not a sole security measure, but it is paired with strong encryption, and it can be used to really make sure that your code can't be like understood and broken into. So steganography tools are going to include StegHide, like I mentioned. All right, so next up is hashing, the final chapter. So what is hashing? Hashing is using a mathematical one-way conversion of data to a string. So that means that it cannot be reversed or decrypted in any way. So that doesn't mean that it's like super hard. It's just like that's not possible. It's only able to like brute force the result. And so the examples would be like MD5, SHA-1, and SHA-256. So hashing is used for passwords because passwords are often stored as hashes on databases, and this makes it so if this gets leaked, you might not be able to really decipher what these are. Okay, so here's a really, really basic hashing example. So like I mentioned, it uses a mathematical formula. So here, using like every letter, you're going to see frog maps out to 6, 18, 15, and 7. And so your like hash is going to be 46. And so this is used within like checksums. So before downloading a program, a hash is generated. And so that is going to be the checksum. And so after downloading it, you can see if the two checksums are the same. So if they are the same, that means that it is the correct file. It hasn't been corrupted in any way. You'll see in the example, this is a Prey-tunnel checksum, and they do have different versions for you to check which one is correct. So like right there, you'll see it's 99, this is 99. So most programs will offer checksums to make sure that you can check if you have like the right file and to ensure data integrity. All right, so yeah, it ensures that it hasn't been tampered with during transit or corrupted. And so back to the example, let's say you download Frog, right? So before the installation, you see it's 46, and after you install it, it's still 46, you know that it's the correct file. However, there is the possibility for a hash collision. So within this, you'll see that Hawk, which is 8, 1, 23, and 14, becomes the same hash. So they're both 46. And so although you might think that like, okay, they're the same number, it's fine. A hash collision means that it might have the same hash or checksum, but it's going to be a different file. So people who want to like use this for like evil reasons, they can encode like malicious stuff onto a file and make it like the same hash. And there's also the possibility for hash collisions to be generated from passwords. So that means that if a password has like a certain hash, but you make a hash collision, you can use a different password to log into the same account. So that is pretty dangerous if you are looking for like password security. And yeah, hash collisions. Usually that is for hashes like MD5 that are pretty weak because collisions are very easily created within weak hashes. All right, so how to break a hash? Like I mentioned, hashes cannot be decrypted. There is no like algorithm for it. You can only brute force a hash. And so first up, you're gonna have a dictionary attack. So dictionary tag is where you get a word list of passwords like Rocky.txt and you match it against your password. And so Rocky was a company that had a super big data breach. And that means they have this very large text file of real user passwords. And so some of them can be kind of silly, like ABC123, like these are all real. And so you're gonna find a lot of passwords like this. Some of them might be like spring 2021, 2022, right? So it might have very small differences, but you can use word lists to kind of check with passwords because people tend to be very predictable when they make their passwords. And so knowing about stuff like this makes you kind of be more inclined to create better passwords beyond like monkey. Right. So another example is a rainbow tables attack. So this is where you get a rainbow table of pre-computed hash values for each character used. So in this example, you'll see character 1 is going to be hashed to 1215. So that means that if you obtain this table and you also have the hashed passwords, you can really easily break them because you know what each plain text will match to. All right, so hash cracking tools, there's Hashcat and there's John the Ripper. And so John the Ripper is typically used for beginner level stuff. It has a more user-friendly interface and it also has better auto hash detection. However, Hashcat does support larger data sets and more algorithms. So I think that in a more advanced password and hash cracking scene, they're going to use Hashcat more. But both are pretty much used across all cracking situations. And so an example for breaking a hash would be with this example with SHA-256. This is going to be the code to use John Ripper, and this is going to be the code to use Hashcat. And you'll see this is how it kind of pans out. You'll see this is the hash, and then they break it. The password is cool dude. And then for Hashcat, it uses the same kind of thing where it's all this, and here's the password. And so you'll see that up here, it says 7400. And so that's going to be identifying the hash type. So back with John the Ripper, you can see that they specifically put 256. But if you have the hash, you have to use Hashcat's different table for it. So they do have a list online of what each hash will be represented by. So SHA-256 is 7400 in this case, just to promote better code, I guess. So what is salting? Salting is going to be adding random data to a string before hashing it. So this is a direct kind of mitigation for rainbow tables because it makes sure that one value can be hashed to different hashes. So that means here you'll see that all 4 of these are the same password, but on this side you'll see that there is no additional characters added, so they hash to the same plain text. But here they use a salt, which is where they might add this before or after the password, and once it's hashed, you'll see that it's a completely different value. And so using salting, it's a pretty basic procedure, but it's used kind of across all systems. Okay. So with that, here's the bonus slide. I went a little fast, but I'm going to talk about quantum cryptography a little bit. So have you guys heard of quantum cryptography? A little bit? Okay. So quantum cryptography, people tend to the news say that it's going to be really harmful towards our modern cryptography. They say that it's going to break all of our security. And so it is kind of a threat, but I'm not sure if it's a threat right now. And so quantum cryptography, instead of using mathematical formulas, they use physics to create a more secure algorithm. Another picture a little hard to decipher, but basically, so photons are the most random kind of aspect within nature. And so that means that it is going to be more random than a code trying to mimic randomness. And so using random photons, they can use that to encode their key. And so you see these, they're pushed through different filters. And so if they're polarized vertically or diagonally, they can create a really random one-time pad for you to use for your code. And so if that is encoded to your receiver, then you'll have 2 very random one-time pads, and that can have a whole other level of security. And so, not sure if that made sense, but quantum cryptography is pretty cool, and it's up and coming. And so with that, that concludes my presentation. This is just other stuff to kind of show it better. Yeah. Any questions regarding anything cryptography related? Yes.
In one of the slides, it said salting from before. Can you also salt after?
I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to. You could like put the salt in and then hash it and then add another salt and hash that if you wanted to. Is that what you mean? Or do you mean like before or after the password?
Yeah, like is it
Yeah.
the string or after the
Yeah, people have different like salting algorithms. So they might even make it so it's like password and then salt, and then they might do like password again. So they might have different ways of salting it to promote security. Because I think that the salting algorithm doesn't really have to be known. It's just they have to make sure that it's secure enough for the hash not be broken by different crackers. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Oh, also, on Friday, there's going to be another workshop regarding cryptography. There's going to be hash cracking stuff and cipher stuff, all types of things like that. Anything else? Is that it? Okay, yeah. See you guys on Friday, hopefully.